I want to hear a back and forth between the two of you about this, because it sounds like, Steven, you are thinking that the way people are going now is digital. And so Watsy's push is probably going to succeed to go more digital. And Indestructible, you sound like you're saying that's not the case, because this hobby in particular is different than other places, and there's a lot of people who really want a physical product, and so it would fail.
No, I should clarify. I actually super agree with Steven on the fact that I think that younger audiences are definitely going for digital. Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. But I do think that the torchbearers for the hobby right now prefer physical. Yeah, I actually agree with Steven 100% on that. And I think, yeah, I mean,
I win.
Yeah.
We wait, Steven.
Yes.
No. You win, but so does he.
Yeah, but so do I.
Oh, it's a tie. The thing is yeah, it's a weird. It is interesting to see how my own kids and my kids' friends, and even, because none of them are adults now, and I'm talking to them. You're young adults, but they're adults, and they're starting to get jobs, and they like having digital content to them. And you know what? As someone who I have a library that was literally my entire wall of fantasy books. We're just talking about Sanderson. I have all of his books. But you know what? The very first Kindle book I ever bought was The Way of Kings. Because that thing is a monster. It's 1,400 pages, baby.
Yeah.
And it's a heck of a lot easier to read that book on my Kindle, on my phone, wherever I am, when I'm traveling, than having to carry around a book the size of my freaking arm. And I've been convinced I am all Kindle. I haven't bought a book except as a collector's item since. Except for, that's actually not true, I literally just bought. So You Want to Be a Game Master. I've heard nothing but really good things about this book, so I just bought this by Justin Alexander, because everyone's talking about this book. But the point is, books are going to become collector's items. They're getting very expensive. A WotC book is now $70. Okay. And Paizo also announced their books are like $50, $60, $70, $80. And that's just what they cost. I mean, trust me, I know. I'm talking to the printers.
Yeah,
it's like,
that's what it costs to make that kind of a book, and to pay back for the art and writing too,
and the shipping and all that. And
yeah, I was about to say logistics.
Yeah.
Oh my god! You know how much easier it is to fix a PDF than to fix a print run?
You don't have to tell me. In fact, last night, someone wrote us and said, I found a mistake in your book. And I wrote to Mark, and he's like,
we found the mistake, and we fixed it in the InDesign.
Well, you did. I just didn't put out a new PDF. But
we already fixed it in the InDesign.
I did put out a new version last night, version 5 of the book, and see how easy that was?
Well,
it was especially easy since the InDesign already had the change, but it would have been easy either way.
Yeah, I had an InDesign file that I sent it off. Everything was all good. I approved the print and everything, but what I found out was months later, it didn't export the font for the italics. It exported the font into the PDF, or embedded the font. Sorry, it embedded the font for the regular body text. It didn't export it for the italics. And whenever I got it, the characters, whenever I went through and hard set it for italics, they seemed fine. But whenever the character styles tried to auto do the italics, it just didn't know what to think.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I was just like, cool. Okay, well, that's technically an error, but do I recall the entire print for that? Anyways.
So wait, we have a couple of quick questions. First, do I have the Battlezoo books on my Kindle? All my Battlezoo books are released as PDFs. So I actually do have a PDF reader. I do have them on my phone. So I read them on my phone all the time. But I also have them right behind me. But I'm a publisher, so I'm a little different. I have all my books. I need to look at them to make sure they're printed correctly. And I literally have a room filled with my books. So I am not the best person to talk to on this. But I also see people here saying, I refuse to pay for subscriptions. I agree as well. And that is why you can have it both ways. I mean, we print books, But not all of our books are printed. Okay, we do some digital only content, but that stuff we give out as PDFs, and I'm constantly updating them. I literally just updated one last night to version 5, and that book has been out for 2 years, so I'm always updating them, especially, to make sure everyone has the most up-to-date version with the most up-to-date rules. So you do own it. Yes, it is not technically the same as owning a physical book, but it's as close as I can get giving you a digital copy of a PDF, which is a pretty well-known and widely supported format that probably isn't going away anytime in the next 20 years. And you own that. That's yours. You own that PDF. As opposed to a D&D Beyond subscription service where you don't own anything. And it's all on their servers. And once you cancel that subscription, it's gone.
I was just going to say, like, this is a big reason for me why I get print. I have to annotate my books. Like I whenever I'm especially prepping something, like this is Vason. So some people think that this is a cardinal sin. I've got highlights. I don't know, you guys can stay mad, I guess. But I have to write down different notes to make sure I'm tracking like what all's happening. If I'm prepping a session, I need to know, like,
you know what?
That's a reference over here.
Wait. I do the same thing, but I do it a little differently. You and I are in the same boat, but I'll just give you an example of some of my pages. So, like, I'm running Agents of Edgewatch. I print out the pages because I have the PDFs, and then I put my notes on the PDFs on the pages.
I can see that too. Yeah,
that's what I do. But it's the same thing. But I've been doing this a long time. Like, this is the way I've been doing it pretty much for 20 years. Like, I always tried to get PDFs, and there was the best of both worlds, especially back then when everything was printed in PDF was a luxury. It's like, I really didn't want to write in my books. And also I like having this because this is just one chapter. So I only had to carry one chapter with me rather than the entire book. So, and when that chapter's done, I'll print out the next chapter. So, but I think all these are acceptable. And I think having digital only is fine as long as you give people the option to own digital only.
Yeah, Death Angels brought up my biggest critique of it is what happens whenever the server shuts down.
Right. Oh, that happens all the time.
You don't own it really. You're borrowing it as long as under the agreement of, I'm trying to think, wasn't there like a game that famously shut down that had something like this happen?
Well, video games happen. This happens constantly in video games.
I felt like there was like a recent one that like caused a lot of people that spent money on loot boxes or whatever that shut down. I don't know that it was Overwatch.
Oh, well, no, it wasn't Overwatch. It was the other one. It was the
was it like a Diablo?
Battlesuit. It was not Battlesuit. I keep saying Blizzard Heroes. The Heroes.
Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah, Heroes of the Storm.
Okay.
They basically are shutting it down, and like people are pissed. And I mean that will happen. But that happens all the time in the video game world. These games are designed. If you ever get anything in a video game and you ever get a DLC, you don't own it, and you just have to remember that. And in my mind, as long as you come to that conclusion and realize that you are just borrowing it, and as long as you have fun with it while you have it, I think it's okay. The problem with books, versus Heroes of the Storm or World of Warcraft or StarCraft, any of these, it's like those are almost intangibles. They're video games. They exist in the ether to begin with. But a book is a book. It's a physical object. It's been around for thousands of years. It's something that we tangibly hold and use and learn from, and you've been doing it since you're a kid in school, which, by the way, is changing because all my kids' schools are now paperless. But the point is, it was a time where you always had a book and you felt like you owned it, and that was knowledge. And there's a reason why printing presses were illegal in Russia for like 500 years, because they didn't want people to learn and know things and be able to print. And that, I think, is unconsciously the thing that people are scared of, whether they know it or not, is that by giving someone else the control, they can't even trust their own memories. I don't go off on a tangent, but think about Disney. Disney is changing the movies on Disney Plus. They're literally editing these movies, and you can't find them anywhere else because after this year, physical media is gone, baby. The DVDs are not going to be made anymore. You're not going to be able to buy them in Best Buy. They're going to become collector's
So
items. They're
weird.
going to be very hard to find. So the only place you're going to be able to find things is online. And if WotC or Disney or Hasbro or anyone decides to change it, well, you're stuck with that new version. And this happened with Star Wars. You know how many times Star Wars has been changed? And there's like 4 core versions of Star Wars right now. 4! And they're all different. And it's like, well, which is the true version? E.T. they changed. They took out the guns and they put in walkie-talkies. Well, which is the true version? Okay? It's like these I can see the point, and the directors can say, well, it's my version. It's my work. I can change it. But is it? This is going to something we're going to be talking about, I think, a lot more in the next couple of years as physical media starts totally disappearing, as more and more things become digital only, start disappearing or start being changed. Yeah. And suddenly people are like, well, what happened? Is my memory off? Did I remember things incorrectly? It's just so freaking weird, man.
I will say, like, I don't want to seem like I'm like an anti-digital guy or anything like that, or like, physical purist or whatever. I'm just all for options. I would like to be able to choose how I would get the thing I'm trying to buy, right? Like, there's absolutely perks to owning it as a PDF, to having it on like a D&D Beyond like thing, or having the physical book. I would like the option of being able to choose which way I'm buying it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like whenever it feels like we're being forced to take like one way that they want it to, and then I'm like, oh, okay, well, that seems like it's going to hurt you guys worse than it's going to hurt me. But yeah,
but keep in mind, I knew this from day one because I remember when I was like, oh, new version of D&D, when I was playing it actively. Oh, where's the PDFs? There's no PDFs. I was like, really? There's no PDFs? That's weird. And then I thought about it. I obviously have seen it since. I'm like, oh, they want control. They want to own it. They want to make sure you buy it 2 or 3 times, because you buy the book and then you buy it on D&D Beyond, and then maybe you buy a subscription. And you know what? There's a lot of companies that do that. Nintendo is the king of that. Nintendo has you buy the same things 10 times. They're great at it. It's a viable way to do business, but I think, yeah, D&D Beyond and D&D 2024 is just a walled garden. That's, if you want the elevator pitch, we are trying to make a walled garden. We're trying to get rid of as many print products as possible, or repurpose print in a new, different way. We're trying to make as many people subscribe to us as possible. We're trying to make some of the older versions and games and editions disappear. But if you want them, you can get them for a low price of $10 a month at D&D Beyond. And everything you need is there. You don't need to buy any of these $70, $80, $90 books. But if you do, we still make money. But instead of buying that $80 book, why don't you just pay $9.99 a month? Okay, there you go. And I hate to break it, as I'm looking at my Xbox Live subscription right here, it freaking works. Because I have Xbox Live, because I now pay, $15 a month to have all those games, because I'm not going to pay $70 for Starfield, but I'm willing to pay $15 to play it for a few hours and realize it's not for me, and I feel pretty good about that. And I hate to say it, it freaking works. Okay, it works. I know people are like, oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I see all these people in chat like, I'm not going to pay for the digital subscription. You're in the vast minority. And I believe you when you say you won't. But unfortunately, that's just not the way the world is going to work. And unfortunately, I think WotC's going to win at the end. And the whole reason they're coming out with D&D 2024 is to make it digital, to boost D&D Beyond, to add all these rules that support their new digital VTT. Oh, another reason to go to PAX, there's very strong rumors that the VTT will be there for you to try out at PAX. Oh, baby.
Yeah.
But I think that is the goal. And that's it. The fact that they get to change the rules, cool, fine. We'll do that too. That's not our fourth or fifth goal. So, personally.
Well,
what do you think, Mark? You've been quiet.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think that people are buying into digital subscriptions, and so I kind of set it up because I thought there was a contradiction between the two of you, but it sounds like mostly we all agree.
We all agree that our future is dim and dismal.
The future is probably digital overall, even though I think all of us love books to collect, to have it in our hands, all three of us.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
But digital is a very strong future, and there's just so many reasons. And watching the price of shipping continue to go up, and it just being like, wow, this is ridiculous. So you're paying more to ship than you are like to get the book, with all of the effort that goes into making that book. And I don't want to minimalize the effort it takes to have a global infrastructure to ship things that I can get it anywhere in the world. That is, obviously, it takes skill and money and a lot of people, but at the point where you're paying more to move it than you are to actually create it, and people are okay with this, and I guess they're not happy, but they're like, well, it is what it is, and are less likely to want to pay an increase in the book cost. That's when you see that the ship, in this case, maybe isn't sailing because you don't have enough money to get it to sail on some of the like going heavy on print primary.
By the way, Tiger Ice says, I think, Stephen, you're in a different economic class where paying for a lot of subscription services is not a thing. Most people can't afford a ton of subscriptions. I completely agree. I, in fact, 1,000% agree that there's way too many subscription services, and some of them lock you in. Like, I have a subscription service to back up my phone, and I can't get rid of it. They just raise the price, and I'm like, you can't downgrade, and I can't get rid of it. I'm stuck. Like, what am I going to do? Not back up my phone? I have everything on the freaking cloud. How the heck am I going to get it off? I can make it $1,000 a month. I'd probably be stuck. I'm like, they really got me. that one really bothered me, because I was like, damn it. Like, sure, I can cancel Netflix or cancel Disney Plus. In fact, I did cancel Disney Plus, and my kids were like, why'd you cancel it? I watch it all the time. And I was like, oh, because I don't watch it. I was like, all right, I got it back. But Dungeons and Dragons is a lifestyle brand. It is a brand that people identify their entire self with. And if it comes down to it, they will spend the money to subscribe to this, especially if it's reasonable. And that's the difference, is that, like, we used to do this a lot. You've heard Elastic and Elastic, like food versus a movie. Well, I think a lot of people will say, okay, I can either subscribe to D&D or subscribe to my Netflix or a Disney Plus or a Peacock. Well, I'll probably cancel one of those before I cancel my D&D, especially once I have what's called sticky material, which is what I just said about all my backups. All my backups are on the online Apple Plus or whatever it's called, so I can't get rid of it. I'm stuck forever. Well, guess what? If all your characters and all your books and all your information is on D&D Beyond, you're never going to cancel it because it's all there. What are you going to do? How are you going to get it off? And it's going to be very sticky. And that's the point. They want to make it as sticky as possible so that once you're on, you'll never get off, which I guarantee shocked them to their absolute core when 50,000 plus people canceled within a few weeks because they thought no one would cancel D&D Beyond. And
it's still so funny.
A lot of people did, and they lost millions and millions of dollars because of that. And if you don't believe me, look at the latest corporate statements. They lost a lot of money because of that. So, but they're going to make it. I think that's I I changed my my elevator pitch. My elevator pitch for D&D 2024 is make it digital, make it sticky. That is what they want us to do. That is the point of D&D 2024.
There you go. That's a good thesis statement.
There you go. It also sounds cool too. A good thesis. Make it sticky. Like, ooh. I like
Make it
that.
digital, make it sticky. That's it's a snappy catchphrase.
Yeah.
I'm on you all's channel, so I won't say what that immediately makes me think of. But
hey, man. Hey, we said that yesterday. There's certain words you don't use.
Yeah,
You don't use sack.
Yeah, sticky might be on there for the same reason as sack.
But that is a marketing term because it's actually used all the time to try to make things have stickiness, or because they want things to stick around. So